guess we can get things started now. It's 4:01. So I just want to say thank you and welcome to everybody that's joining our webinar. So this is part of our FIMG at 4 series, where we cover topics that we hear a lot about in meetings. Today is all about identity theft and what we can do to protect ourselves. On the call, we have myself, so I'm a wealth advisor at Freedom Investment Management Group, and we have our two managing directors, Rob Maring and Dave Close, joining. And then we have Ava as well. She is from American Century Investments. And then we have our presenter, Kimberly Sims. So just a bit about Kimberly. She is the Deputy CISO, which is Chief Information Security Officer. And she is the Director of Cyber Operations and Cloud Security for American Century Investments. She is responsible for the data security, cyber threat intelligence, and enterprise cyber incident response programs. And she has over 17 years of experience in the financial services sector. Prior to her time at American Century, she ran the information security program for the second largest capital markets desk in the world. She was responsible for securing systems that process $1 trillion debt portfolio. That's insane. And she is accustomed to working in these in these heavily regulated environments. And I'll have to apologize. I am a little bit sick today too. It's running through the office, but we are so overjoyed to have Kimberly on this call and have someone with that level of experience in the cybersecurity space and that tenure in that space as well. And I'm glad we're virtual today, so nobody's sharing germs either. But Kimberly, feel free if I missed anything that you'd like to share with the audience today. I know you have a lot of good stuff for us today as well.
Great, thank you, Margot. Let me share my screen. And excellent. Can everybody see my screen all right?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm here to talk about some important issues, especially in the digital age that we're in. Two main topics, identity theft and identity fraud. So my goal today is to keep things simple. I want you to feel empowered and informed with the information I'm going to share with you, but not overwhelmed. So to kick that off, I'm going to start with going over just some terminology. We hear identity theft, we hear identity fraud. What do they mean? They're often used interchangeably. Identity theft is when someone steals your personal information. So think of your credit card, your social security number, your first name, along with your date of birth and address. And the goal of stealing that information is to commit fraud in your name. Identity fraud is the use of your stolen information to open fraudulent accounts and even commit crimes in your name. So how do we stop it? Our data is out there whether we like it or not. We have to provide our first name, last name, social security number to the credit agencies to establish a line of credit. And when those companies experience a compromise or a breach, our information is now out of our hands. A lot of times when we get the letter in the mail, we feel panic, we feel powerless. So today what I'd like to do is go over the different ways in which your information could get compromised, as well as give you actionable prompts for you to be able to follow, including informing your advisor. Kicking it off, social engineering. Why should you care? As investors, your financial information is incredibly valuable to cyber criminals. So you need to take some extra steps to protect your investments, your financial well-being, and your wealth. Social engineering is a technique where bad actors will commonly play on our emotions or our natural instincts to be helpful. They want us to give out our username, our password, our data in order to impersonate us and then access that same information themselves. An example, I went on a family vacation this summer. I'm on the East Coast, and so we went to a crab house and we got crabs and clams and mussels, and it was a huge elaborate feast. And then my dad gets some texts coming through from Amazon saying that fraudulent charges are on his account. He has to call immediately. His information has been stolen. And so he excuses himself to take the call. He calls the number in the text message, and they immediately start asking him, well, what's your social? Well, what's your credit card? Well, what's your date of birth? And thankfully, my dad said, this doesn't sound right. He hung up and came back to the table. We Googled the phone number. We Googled the number that the text came through, and they were all associated with Amazon scams. So this is an example of a false sense of urgency. They make you believe that your information has already been compromised and trick you to continue giving out extra information. And what we're seeing is there's no longer spelling errors. There's no longer a Nigerian prince that wants to claim you as a beneficiary and give you all their wealth. What we're seeing is that these attacks, they're smart, they're fast, and they're using the latest technology such as AI. When they target us, they're really looking for the people that are helpful, raised to be polite and trusting. Phishing is a type of social engineering. This is when cyber criminals will impersonate a trusted friend, a trusted business partner, a trusted business to trick you into giving them information or giving your credentials. This can happen over email. This can happen over text. This can happen over a phone call like we just talked about. I get phishing emails pretty much daily around the clock. And a good rule of thumb is if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So some tips for you to follow. If you get a suspicious email from a friend, feel free to pick up your phone and call them and just make sure that they actually sent you that email. It might be that your friend's email was hacked and their email account is compromised. If you receive an email and you don't know the sender or you're not expecting that email, don't click on any of the links. Don't open any of the attachments, even if it introduces that sense of urgency or a sense of fear for you. If you get an email from what looks like a trusted business, like Bank of America, and it says that your account is overdraft, don't click on any of the links in that email. I want you to pause, close the email, and open a fresh web browser. Type in bankofamerica.com and log in and make sure that you can see if you have any overdrafts within your account. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, when you navigate to the Bank of America website, a lot of times they'll have a contact us phone number, and feel free to call that number and talk to a representative. But never click on any of the links or the numbers in any type of suspicious email. Lastly, if your advisor sends you something and you're not expecting it, contact your advisor. They're going to welcome that conversation and they want to talk to you about what's going on in your account, and they'll let you know if they see any suspicious activity as well. A couple weeks ago, a coworker of mine shared a phishing email that was sent to them from our CEO that asked him to urgently run to Target, get a couple gift cards, and send the gift card numbers and pins over email. We were able to look at the email. We saw the red flags. We reported it as phishing. But also when you get something suspicious, ask yourself, will the CEO ever ask me to give him Target credit card numbers? Probably not. Another type of social engineering is fake websites. So did you know that for under $3, I can mimic any website on the internet in a matter of minutes? If you go and navigate to a website that doesn't quite look right, follow the same rules as before. Close that site, open a fresh web browser, and type in the URL FedEx.com, UPS.com, and navigate to that site directly. Unfortunately, social media accounts fall into this bucket. They're often impersonated. We were just talking about Taylor Swift at the beginning of this presentation. I am a Taylor Swift fan, pretty big Swiftie, and I tried to get Eras tickets, tour tickets last year. And these tickets are going for $700, $800 per ticket last year. So when a lady from my church, Penny, posted on our church Facebook page, I've got 4 Taylor Swift Eras Tour tickets for $100. I need to get rid of them. They're yours if you want them. I sent Penny a note and I said, Penny, I am definitely interested. Let me know what we need to do. I'd love to buy the tickets off of you. Almost immediately, Penny writes me back saying, well, my cousin has the tickets. And if you want to purchase them, just email him and Venmo him directly, and he'll send you the tickets directly. That was my first red flag. So what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called Penny. She didn't answer. Called her again. I left a voicemail. She didn't answer. I texted her. I sent her an email. No contact from Penny. At this time, about 5-10 minutes have passed, and I still haven't heard back from Penny until she sends me a message through Facebook Messenger saying, if I don't contact her in the next 5 minutes, she's going to sell the tickets to somebody else. Second red flag. So I let the fake Taylor Swift Eras tickets go, and Penny, the real Penny, called me back about 2 hours later and let me know that her Facebook account had been hacked. So if something seems off and you can't validate, it probably is. Always make sure you check and validate. I'm guessing this group likes to travel or knows somebody that does. Ever think about how much information you take with you when you travel? I'm a habitual overpacker. I like to make sure I have everything I could possibly need for all different seasons, all different weather types. I like to have every credit card possibly available in case one doesn't work. But I'd caution you to think about what information do you actually need to bring with you when you travel? Do you need both your ID and your passport? Do you need 1, 2, 3 credit cards? I've seen cases where IDs are stolen, new accounts are created, and it looks absolutely nothing like the actual person. So only bring the information that you need that's absolutely necessary when you travel, and consider purchasing. They have cross-body travel pouch bags that keep your IDs and information on your person and close to you. In the spirit of physical theft, think about what you print off. A lot of times security reports will come out, and I love printing them out and highlighting and notating and taking notes and sharing them with the team. If you are a printer as well, think about if you're printing anything sensitive, bank statements, things that come in the mail as well, any type of print mailings. If you like to store those in the event you can't get to the internet, make sure you store them in a secured, locked location. And when you're ready to dispose of them, don't just throw them in the trash, but shred them. Make sure you dispose of them correctly. Unfortunately, dumpster diving is real. I've not only seen people crawling into dumpsters, but I've spoken to folks that had their information stolen as a result of not properly disposing paper accounts. So threats are everywhere. What can we do to protect ourselves? I want to walk you through some core practices that will substantially help securing access to your online accounts. And we are going to start with passwords. Avoid using the same password across multiple sites. I know it's easy. I know passwords are really hard to remember, but if one password is compromised at a site and you reuse it at a second site, you now have had a breach of your information in 2 locations. This is a really common attack. It's called a password spray attack, and this happened to Chick-fil-A a couple years ago. They weren't breached, but another company was breached, and they reused the username and passwords in that compromised company's breach and used it to log into the Chick-fil-A's customer system. And a significant of individuals were compromised. Imagine if your Chick-fil-A username and password is the same as your banking password. Think of it if it's the same as access to your investment accounts or your email. A lot of times folks come up to me and say, but Kimberly, it's just my email. I just email my friends or my family. I challenge you to think about when you forget your password and you click on that forget password link, or if you set up multi-factor authentication and you request a code, it gets sent to your email. So if a bad actor has access to your email, they now can reset all of the passwords that are linked to that email address. So I'm telling you to use a long, strong, complex, unique password. That's a lot of passwords to remember. And it's not really feasible for us to be able to remember that many passwords. I'd like you to consider using a password manager. It's a site or an application where you can store all of your passwords. It can make sure the complexity, the length is all set for you. A lot of times it can change passwords for you, and you only have to remember one password to log into your password manager. A lot of password managers also allow you to use a fingerprint or facial recognition, or if you have an app on your phone, excuse me, it'll send a code to that app on your phone. I just used a buzzword, MFA, multi-factor authentication. What if I told you that if you put multi-factor authentication on your financial accounts, it could save you $500,000? And if you don't put multi-factor authentication on your accounts, you could potentially lose $500,000. So if you don't take anything else away from this presentation, please take away this. Implementing multi-factor authentication is one of the strongest protections that you can do for access to your accounts. So what is it? It's a code, it's a token, it's a fingerprint, facial recognition. It's a second set of validation that proves you are who you say you are. And it's a hassle to get set up front. You have to link your phone with an account. It takes a minute or two, but it will significantly improve the security around access to your most important accounts. Excuse me. In the event that your password is breached, that bad actor now needs something else to get into your account. So how does it work? You log into a website, you enter in your username, your password, and then it'll prompt you with a text message, a prompt through an app. It may send a code to your email that you enter in. Once you have multi-factor authentication or MFA set up on your account, make sure you only accept prompts that you initiate. Just a couple weeks ago, I was sitting in a meeting and my phone starts blowing up. I'm getting prompt after prompt after prompt of attempts to get into my email. After the meeting, I logged into my email and I changed my password and the prompt stopped. So that told me that my email password was compromised. Someone had access to it. They were trying to access my email, but they were unsuccessful in getting into my email because I had multi-factor authentication set up. The code was sent to me and only me, and the bad actor couldn't log in. Your digital footprint. While you're getting access to your accounts locked down and secured, make sure you continually monitor those same accounts. Keep an eye on your banking account, your investment account for any suspicious activity. A lot of times, bad actors, when they steal a credit card or purchase it, they'll do test charges. And so in your account, you'll see maybe 2 cents or a 3 cents charge. If you start seeing those test charges in your bank accounts, go ahead and call your bank and ask them to either issue you a new credit card or take a look at the activity on your credit card. Early detection, early prevention will stop a much larger problem. Monitoring accounts includes social media accounts. We talked about liking to travel a little bit earlier. When we go on vacation, I know myself, my family lives out of state, across the country. I like to share with them pictures of what the kids look like and what we're doing on vacation. And that's fine. I ask you to wait until posting those photos until you've returned back home safely. When you post while you're out of town or on vacation, that tells the bad actors or anybody else that gets a hold of that information that you're not at home. You're away from your residence. So just wait until you return home, and then you can go ahead and update your family with photos. We're talking a lot about scams and bad actors. And usually, whether it's phishing, through texting, through a phone call, they have common problem themes. There's a problem with your account. There's a dispute with your tax payment. You won the lottery, but then they give you the solution. There's a problem with your account, but if you send us this amount by this date, we can fix it. There is a dispute with your tax payment, but if you pay this immediate fee, we can get your taxes processed. You won the lottery, but to get your winnings, you need to make this deposit. And AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning is only increasing the sophistication, the accuracy, and the believability of these types of scams. So when you see these scams and these red flags, what do? First thing you should do is report it immediately. Contact your bank, contact your credit card companies, contact any other relevant institutions in which your information could be stored. Second, make sure you report it to your advisor. Make sure you have a trusted contact set up. And if your trusted contact hasn't met your advisor, think about making that connection. You can also set up a fraud alert, notifying one of the major credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and you can place a fraud alert on your credit report. Now, over the past couple of years, freezing your credit is free. So if you feel like if you're not going to make any purchases in the next 3-6 months, I would recommend going ahead and freezing your credit. And then when you're ready to make a purchase or open a new line of credit, you can unfreeze it at that time. Another option you can do if you suspect identity theft is to file a report with the Federal Trade Commission. And what that can really help you with is they know how identity theft happens, and they can help you create a recovery plan. The same way if you've signed up for identity protection, the part of the benefit of those services is that they walk you through the process of how you can recover. When your identity has been stolen, there's a lot of stress that goes along with it. You lose quite a bit of time. And these types of services help you develop a plan of how to recover. Lastly, monitor your credit. A lot of the credit card companies offer this for free now on their portals. Sign up for credit reporting. If you receive one of those mailers that come in the mail that said the company you do business with had your information and it was compromised, and they're offering you free credit reporting and you don't have it already, make sure you take them up on it. final thoughts. Remember, staying vigilant and proactive is one of your best defenses against identity theft. My number one action item and takeaway is take the time to set up multi-factor authentication for your critical accounts. That's banks, emails, social media. And when you take the time to set that up, you can protect your personal financial life that you've spent several decades building. Identity theft isn't so much about technology. It's about protecting the data and the financial wealth that you've been building. So with that, thank you for your time, and we can open it up for questions.
Kimberly, thank you. That was the mention of trusted contacts is actually something we're in the process of adding to all of our client accounts. So that is something that we just want to add another layer of to have just in the event something were to happen. So in order to ask a question, there is kind of a little chat box, which we can, you can type your question into. I guess I have a question while we're kind of teeing into that. The chat boxes should be at the bottom of your screen. But Kimberly, we have clients, I know just in discussing a lot of times with how they use credit with purchases. So we have clients that use a banking debit card that's like linked to a checking account versus a credit card. Can you maybe explain, is there a protection layer of difference, and maybe which one would be better to use for those that may be using debit cards versus a credit card?
Sure. So with a debit card, that's your money that's at risk. When you're using a credit card, that's the bank's money that's at risk. So there's a lot of protections that you get with using a credit card. There are detections and monitoring and recovery services, and your money never actually leaves your possession when your credit card gets compromised. When you use a debit card, that money immediately leaves your account. This could impact loans, reoccurring payments, purchases, and the recovery time is significantly longer. So my recommendation would be to use credit cards or the safer default for purchases. I typically always refrain from entering in my debit card into any online system.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have any questions at the moment?
I have an additional question. So I learned today regarding physical theft. When my husband and I go on vacation and we travel, he always packs our passports, even if we're not going out of the country. He packs multiple credit cards, multiple debit cards, and now I'm rethinking everything. And he makes one of us carry the licenses and one of us carry the passports, and he'll hide like a credit card in one of our socks that like goes in our suitcase. But now I think we need to rethink our strategy. So are we setting ourselves up for failure that way?
I think distributing is a good idea. A lot of times when physical theft, they'll hit the hotel safe or they'll walk by you and try and grab something from you. I would still only bring the necessary information that you need. In the event that your ID is stolen, you may want a family member to send you your passport so that you can continue traveling home. So you might not want to carry both of them on you at the same time unless it's required for your travel if you need 2 forms of ID.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I like the idea of a family member being able to send it to us if we need it then. Yeah. And we actually did have a question come in through the chat. So we're talking about Experian. What are the best services out there for monitoring our credit? We mentioned Experian, but are there others?
Yeah, so there's a lot of popular ones out there. I want to say the first one that pops into my mind is LifeLock by Norton. That can monitor your credit. It can monitor your even access to your social media accounts. It can look at your bank card information, and it also looks across your family members as well. If you have kids under the age of 18, you can set up credit monitoring for them as well. A lot of times cyber criminals are targeting younger folks, because credit isn't established always and it's not being monitored because they don't have an active credit card or credit use. So I would do a service like LifeLock as an example of one.
That makes me want to do that for the baby. And then also, our LPL login is through something called Account View. So a lot of our clients have the app on their phone for LPL Account View. There's an option to type in a password. Sometimes there's an option for those biometric features like a thumbprint or your face. I was actually helping a client log in the other day, and they were wondering which one's better to use. Should I type in my password each time, or should I let it use my face?
Oh, okay. So if you use a password, well, let me backstep. I would recommend against using biometric face or fingerprint for anyone under the age of 18. I would keep that for everyone 18 and older. When you use a biometric, or sometimes you'll hear things called a pass key instead of a password, pass keys tie your device and your identity to that one app. And so it'll make sure that that stays secure. If somebody steals your passkey and tries to use it, it won't necessarily work. The benefit of biometrics over passwords is you don't have to type it in. A lot of times you can just look at it. But again, there's risks associated with both. Nothing's perfect. It's all about choosing the option that reduces the most risk in the most easiest way. So if you find it easier to enter in a password and it's long and it's complex and it's different from any other password that you use, that will be fine. Just make sure you monitor that password if it gets breached or not.
Great, thank you.
We've
had a couple questions come in. Go ahead. Do you want to, Rob?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'll take this one. We had two questions. So the first question is, will you please tell us what happens when you freeze, I'm assuming like freeze your credit. The question specifically then follows up with, does it affect your debit card use or credit card use?
Good question. When you freeze your credit, that prevents any future use. So you can't create a new credit card. You can't open a new loan. Freezing your credit prevents any future use. It does not protect any existing accounts that you already have. So it's a layer in defense. To protect your existing accounts, use MFA, the additional authentication measures. But for future use, that's what freezing your credit does. If you use an identity service, like I use LifeLock, so I can talk about my experience with it, is when my credit's frozen and I try to request a new credit card, it won't go through. When I have my credit unfrozen and I request to open a new credit card, I'll get a phone call, I'll get an email, I'll get a prompt within my app letting you know there's a new account being created in your name. Was this you, yes or no? And you get the early detection of misuse on your credit. So if you're not planning on opening anything, freeze your credit. But if you are planning on, leave it open, but have the monitoring enabled.
And one thing I know recently, my husband and I purchased a car. We had our credit frozen on TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, all three of the big ones. And I had gone on and set up a credit thaw, which allowed us to just have it open for the week time frame that they were going to have us purchase the car. And then we had the finance manager calling us because we forgot one of ours on one of the sites. So even if you forget to lift that freeze, it's not detrimental. That can be fixed really easily. And then an hour later, it was all better, and we were able to move forward with the purchase of the car as well. And then we have another question, and this one I actually was wondering as well. How likely is it that a password manager could be hacked?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I have this debate quite a bit. So it's really important to do your research on password managers. There are very popular ones out there: 1Password, Bitwarden. A Google search will give you the top 5. you have to consider, what are you comfortable with? When you look at the different services that they offer, this is one of those services you don't just click through the end user agreement. You don't just click through to get your account set up. Really read how they protect your information. The common communication with these is they will encrypt all of the passwords so that their administrators don't even have access for them. So when you're reviewing the security of the site you're getting ready to use, make sure you're monitoring for things like that. Make sure you're monitoring that they can't access those passwords. Again, it's kind of something that it's less risk to use a password manager than it is to use the same password across all of your sites. And it will rotate them if they find it that it's compromised.
Thank you. I think that concludes the questions. Just know that if you do have any questions as a follow-up, feel free to reach out to Margot, Dave, and I. You can do so either by phone or by email. And if we can't, we can obviously email Ava and Kimberly to get details to that question. In addition to that, this webinar replay will be available on our website. So you'll be able to go to freedomwealthcoach.com under our resource center. It should be available within a week to 10 days. So you have to go back and replay through it. It'll be there for an indefinite period of time. And then just before we sign off, want to let you know that our March 24th webinar will be completely geared towards Social Security. So we'll be covering important topics on election benefits and various questions that come up through Social Security. And I think lastly, we would just ask, and that these webinars and topics were basically, as Margot mentioned in the beginning, brought up through various discussions with clients. So if there's something that you would be interested in learning more about, please let us know. We'd love to have the suggestion and bring something to the table that I'm sure many people are asking the questions on. So on behalf of all of us here at Freedom, Kimberly and Ava, we thank you for joining and taking the time to present today, as well as those who signed up. We appreciate you taking the time, this beautiful wintry Northwest Pennsylvania weather, to sign into our webinar. So with that, we will close it out and hope that everybody enjoys their evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.